When you cry for help,
he was a very controlling, manipulating man.
But no one hears you.
We just knew how dangerous he was.
Krystal Evans just divorced her husband last week. In court, a friend asked if Krystal could get escorted to her car.
They did not send anyone out. She walked out by herself and he shot her.
Multiple times, killing her. A lot of people placing the blame on the courthouse staff and police.
They did nothing.
But this Georgia sheriff is making waves on social media. What he said about the victim and her family that has the small town outraged. I'm Justin Carter. This is TSR Investigates. They've known each other for decades. Tom Mallory and Krystal Evans, they met when they were kids in the small town of Griffin, Georgia, which is about an hour south of Atlanta. They were married for over 20 years, even started a contracting company together, but life was not always easy, especially for Krystal, who just recently went on social media pleading with the public and her followers to pay attention to what her estranged husband was doing to her, all while she was waiting for the courts to grant her a protective order. She was granted that protective order on September 11th, but 2 days later, she was dead. The signs were there. Look what Krystal Evans wrote on her Facebook page, August 3rd, 2024. Quote, "It's sad that I have to walk around terrified for my life and my children's. I know if something happens to me, please know who did it. This man has said numerous times that he's going to kill me. I am posting and trying to leave a paper trail," end quote. Then on August 17th, a Ring camera image, quote, "Tom Mallory, stay away from us. You are a sick man. Leave us alone," end quote. And then just last Thursday, the day before she took him to court, quote, "Dude, please leave me alone. It's over. Move on with your life."
I mean, she literally called the day before because he was stalking her.
Precious Evans says her mom was just granted a permanent order of protection against her father, Tom Mallory, on Wednesday, September 11th. But by Friday, September 13th, Evans says that the two were back in court because her dad was accused of forging financial documents. She says that he was to turn himself in on forgery charges on Monday. Precious, she went to court to support her mom.
So afterwards, I waited outside for her for a little bit. But, it kind of was just taking a little minute, and I had a 12 o'clock appointment I had to go to.
She says a family friend was also there.
Her friend let the people know, like, hey, can you have someone escort her out when she comes out because we're about to leave.
But Precious says that never happened.
It fell on deaf ears.
She says that the court clerk never relayed the message. She says that her mom, who's a busy real estate entrepreneur, left on her own accord alone. She got in her car in the courthouse parking lot across the street.
I probably wasn't even home 5 minutes. My godmother called me back probably a minute later, and she's like, your mom is screaming. My dad had shot my mom at the courthouse.
And he sped off in his car. Deputies, they heard the shots and chased him for a short time before he shot himself in the head.
From what I have heard from the doctor and things, that he is going to survive. He shot himself in the jaw.
Krystal Evans wasn't that fortunate. She died from her injuries.
To me, this is something that could have very much been prevented, down from the judge all the way down to the sheriff department.
And that's why Evans is fighting so hard. She says law enforcement, they knew the circumstances.
My mom has called the sheriff a total of 3 times of him threatening her, threatening that he's going to kill her.
In these court documents, we found records dating back to 2022. Krystal filing 2 different protective orders against her estranged husband. Quote, Tom tried to barricade Krystal in her home to keep her from leaving. He also forged a deed to her house using her stolen notary stamp on the document. He then told her that he was going to kill her and kill himself, and that he wanted his daughter to have a home when he was gone.
We just knew how dangerous he was.
In February 2023, another order of protection filed, Krystal claiming that Tom got a key to one of her properties and let himself in. When confronted, he used a PVC and pipe cutter to, quote, cut the water, power, and Wi-Fi cords, damaging the meter box in the process. That same night, he then, quote, slid under the house where he listened to her conversations and verbally said, acting like a white expletive, that I'm gonna have to kill, end quote. It's a wish that Evans says he selfishly fulfilled.
My mom was such a giving, nice person. There was like not a mean bone in her body whatsoever. So I just want justice for my mom where the ball was dropped.
It's important to note that those first two protective orders that Krystal did file, they were later dismissed by a judge, one of which because that they didn't show up in court. But that third one that she filed last week, it was granted on Wednesday. But ever since this all happened, it has been a nightmare, especially for the Spaulding County Sheriff's Department. The sheriff there, Daryl Dix, he wrote in a scathing Facebook post that Krystal, she never asked a deputy for an escort to her car. Surveillance video showing her just walking right out the door without asking for help. It also mentions that they do have a history of domestic violence, but it all lacked evidence. Quote, yes, in the past, we have received multiple calls to the Mallory's residence. Both would claim that the other started the fight. On occasions where witnesses were present and interviewed by deputies, they said that they didn't see anything or said it didn't happen like it was described by either Mr. or Mrs. Mallory. I cannot speak about a judge's decision or orders. No one is picking one person over the other or believing one over the other. Deputies don't have the option to arrest based on who has the most followers. That's not how it works. Do improvements need to be made to the law? Yes, they do. Maybe it wasn't a deputy or my agency that failed. Maybe it was the law itself. By the way, the deputies that allegedly refused to escort her are the same ones that removed her from the car, tried to control the bleeding, and tried to save her life, end quote. Now, I have been in contact with the Spaulding County Magistrate Court to see why Krystal was not given a police escort. We're still waiting to hear back. I am told, though, that the judge that was presiding over their case is out of the office until Thursday, so of course, we'll be following up. For TSR Investigates, I'm Justin Carter. Hello, roommates, and thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Do you want more TSR Investigates? Be sure to subscribe and check us out at theshaderoom.com.